This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or simply making a donation. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. So, what are we talking about today then? Well, this guitar in a nutshell. I'm sure you've seen this one before if you've watched any of my other videos. This is my Harley Benton CST24, Harley Benton's PRS knockoff. I've done several videos featuring this guitar, the original video that I did when I first got it, and most recently last year I did a video where I was comparing this to the guitar that it aims to look a lot like a PRS, albeit just one of the SE ones, but still a much more expensive guitar than this one. And the fact that it acquitted itself really rather well was quite impressive to me. I did one of those kind of blind test videos. I'll link to it in the description below, where it was like, okay, which guitar is it? Is it the cheap and cheerful Harley Benton, or is it the more expensive PRS, as a blind test? And you know, about 50% of the people who left a comment expressing an opinion in one way or another got it wrong. So, you know, the fact that this guitar sounds, to a lot of people, indistinguishable from the real thing is, you know, it speaks volumes about the quality of this guitar. The reason I'm doing this video today is it's kind of like a long-term view of it. I got this guitar in 2017, so almost 3 years ago now, and you know, I just thought I'd give you my opinions of it as they've evolved and matured over the time that I've owned the guitar. We're going to be talking about what I like about Harley Benton CST24s and what I don't like about Harley Benton CST24. So, before we get any further into it, I tell you what, let's have a listen to how this guitar sounds. Here's some tones. So not a bad collection of sounds. You know, that's from this guitar as it is now, which isn't as it arrived from Thomann. So what have I done to this guitar in the meantime? Well, let's start off at the headstock, the tuners, okay? The stock tuners on these guitars are fine. And that's about it, really. There's nothing wrong with them. They don't suffer from that lumpy, gritty feeling that a lot of Harley Benton guitars do with their tuners. The tuners on this were absolutely fine, but they were about a 14:1 ratio. And dotted around the office in here, I've got several guitars with like 18 or 19:1 ratio tuners. And I just started to notice that when I was tuning this one, it was feeling a little bit sluggish, maybe a little bit difficult to get it perfectly spot on in tune, so I swapped the tuners out. What are on here now are essentially Grover copies made by Vanson, and just go onto eBay. That's where you have to go if you want to buy any Vanson stuff. Go onto eBay and just type in Vanson tuners, and you will find these amongst others. What else have I swapped? Well, let's go down to the other end of proceedings. The original bridge on this guitar was a wraparound bridge, as you can see I've got on here. This is the replacement one. When it arrived, I assumed that because the trem version of this guitar has a Wilkinson trem, I assumed that the wraparound bridge on this guitar was a Wilkinson wraparound. It's not. And that was causing a bit of a problem. There was a dead spot on the neck where the sustain would just die away, and it was happening mainly on the second string. And it was basically due to a phenomenon called a wolf tone, which is where a sympathetic vibration in the guitar fights against the vibration of the string and kind of kills the sustain. So after a bit of research, I figured out that the best way of getting around this was to change the bridge. So I did, and it cured it. This is a Wilkinson wraparound bridge, which you can get from Accessories or anywhere you can find Wilkinson parts. You'll probably find it on eBay, I'm sure. The pickups, now the more observant amongst you will notice that these pickups have chrome covers on them, and you won't find those chrome covers on the stock guitar. That's because they aren't the stock pickups. This is an older Harley Benton when they were shipping them with Wilkinson pickups, and not that there's anything wrong with Wilkinson pickups. The ones on this guitar were absolutely fine, but they do use Alnico 5 magnets, as do the Roswell pickups that these guitars come shipped with these days, and I just prefer the sound of Alnico 2 magnets. Simple as that. There's a mellower sound to them, and it just sounds a bit more vintage to my ears, which is, more in keeping with the sounds that I tend to like out of this style of guitar. So I've swapped the tuners, which were fine but could have been better, and it just seemed a false economy not to do it. I've swapped the bridge because of the sustain problem. I've played a few Harley Benton CST24s that other people have kind of bought and let me have a try of, and I've never seen that wolf note problem anywhere on any other guitar. I was just the unlucky guy who got the wolf tone on this guitar, but swapping out the bridge sorted that out, no problem. Here's how you can tell if you've got this wolf tone problem on your guitar. Just retune the guitar, tune it to a different tuning, and see if the lack of sustain or the dead spots still occur. If they do, then you've probably got to take a look at your frets. But if suddenly the problem is cured when you go to a different tuning, then that indicates that it's some kind of resonance issue where vibrations are fighting against each other. Anyway, if you do have that problem, swap the bridge out. You're probably going to be okay. And as I said, the Alnico 2 pickups, I prefer the sound of these to the Alnico 5 stock pickups. But since I've done those mods, it's been not exactly my number one guitar. My number one guitar is Gordon here, me Gordon Smith. You know the story of that guitar if you've seen the videos I've done on it. But this is very much the backup guitar. This is the number 2 guitar. I love the way it feels. I love the way it plays. It's a sub 200 quid guitar that's made of mahogany, maple, all the good stuff. It plays like a hot knife through butter. It's effortless, lovely low slinky action. It feels like a much more expensive guitar, and as I demonstrated with that blind test between this and a PRS, it sounds like a much more expensive guitar as well. So that's what I like about the guitar. What do I not like? Well, top of the list is the fact that it looks too much like a PRS. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with PRS guitars and how they look. I just think that this guitar is a good enough guitar to be judged in its own right, essentially, rather than always being seen as, a poor man's PRS, a knockoff, a rip-off, if you like. I think Peavey did a guitar a few years ago that was, obviously inspired by a PRS. It was a similar body shape, and it was going for that same aesthetic, but it looked more of its own kind of beast. It was more of its own identity, and I think deserved to be judged as a design in its own right. This guitar, no matter how good it is, it's always going to be thought of as a PRS knockoff, and I just think that's a bit of a shame, really. It stands up well in its own right, and if they just changed the body shape slightly or made it look a little bit less PRS like, then I would like it a little bit more, I think, these days. That's how my opinion of it has matured over the years. I also, the older I get, the less I'm liking the look of the kind of ostentatious tiger striped but matched flamed maple. These days I'm kind of more into the sort of minimalist look that is perfectly expressed by the Gordon Smith GS 1.5, which, as I say, is my main guitar. But that said, do I regret buying this? Have I got buyer's remorse? Not a bit of it. It's an instrument that punches well above its weight, and it's a vital tool in my musical toolbox. I use it for whenever I need anything that has a big neck humbucker sound that's required. But yeah, I like the guitar. It does what it needs to do, but I just wish it was a little bit less PRS knockoff-ish. Those are my conclusions about the Harley Benton CST24. If you're thinking about buying one, I'd advise you to just go for it. Just grab one. They are a fantastic value guitar for not very much money. You're always going to get people saying that they have quality control issues, and in fairness, a lot of Harley Bentons do. The tuners on a lot of the guitars that I've had from them have been a bit lumpy and a bit gritty feeling and needed swapping out. And occasionally you'll get one with a bad setup or a defect or whatever. But if you're okay at sorting out the odd little bit of fret buzz or tweaking the truss rod or messing around with the action or anything like that, then you can soon get it up to proper match fitness and get it playing like it should, unleashing the potential of it, basically, to play like a proper pro instrument that I honestly believe this is. And as I say, for the price of them, you can't really fall off. It's that they're a great guitar, great value for money. And that is my long-term view of the Harley Benton CST24. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That's pretty much it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video and maybe found it a little bit informative. And if you have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and give me a like while you're at it. And with that, I'll bid you all a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow. I've got a video coming up tomorrow about, it's another one of these price comparison videos. This time, we're looking at amplifiers. So I'll see you then. Until then, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now, folks.